So if you've ever ran Facebook ads, you've definitely experienced something called Facebook ad fatigue. I'm going to explain what that is in a second, but I'm also going to share some tips and strategies that you can use to combat this and improve your overall ads performance. So let's jump into my screen now. Just to get really visual and excuse my ugly drawing, ad fatigue is basically what happens when your frequency gets too high and you're targeting the same group of audiences on Facebook over and over and over again, particularly cold audiences. Think about it, viewers have not converted yet, right? And they keep seeing your ad on their Facebook feed over and over again. Like, let's say we're keeping this example, and I keep seeing the same ad about some business score, some whatever, some numbers, and some gauge here. And I didn't care the first time, I didn't care the third time, and the fourth and fifth and sixth, I'm just scrolling right past this. Like my brain, I just have banner blindness at this point. I scroll right past your ad, which is gonna overall drop your click-through rate and increase your cost per click. So you're basically just annoying people at this point. They didn't care the first few times, and you're showing them the same offer. Hey, do you want this now? Versus like, hey, here's a video about what we have to offer. Hey, here's a different angle. Hey, here's some different messaging. Hey, here's some sort of urgency type of thing. Or hey, here's a white paper. So what happens when you keep showing the same ad over and over again to a cold audience who may not care? Basically, you get what you see here in this little chart, where you have your time on the bottom, and then you have your number of conversions on the top on the y-axis here. As soon as you launch your ad, you might have an initial spike on Facebook where you're getting those conversions in, people are buying, and you're like, wow, these ads are really great. Let me just keep running them to the same cold audiences. And then after a while, you start to see this dip where they stop performing as well. Okay, maybe it was a bad week. And then without even touching things, oftentimes you'll see your ads just start to tank a bit. And they keep going down in terms of number of conversions you're getting or your cost per conversion. And it's the same ad you had at the start here. Nothing has changed. You kept showing the same ad over and over again, but you're getting worse and worse performance. It's because you're getting ad fatigue most likely, and your frequency score is getting too high. So the first problem that people typically face with this is the ad itself, right? Maybe this ad is just not that great. Maybe people don't really care about this creative, this copy, and things like that, but you just keep shoving it down their throats and saying, hey, buy my stuff. And that could be part of the problem right there. You might need to refresh and rethink on your ad as a whole. Or maybe it's not just one ad, and this is usually the case anyways, it's a series of ads you need to show them in order to get them to take into action. So maybe this is just an awareness ad. They're like, okay, I get what Keep kind of is from this ad, and then ad 2 and 3 shows them use cases or whatever it is to get them to take that first action. That's going to perform much better than to just keep showing the same thing over and over again. And that's why it's so important to refresh your creatives and swap out creatives for new creatives, new images, new videos, things like that, so you can avoid this. Basically, when you get a frequency of 6 on cold traffic, you're kind of in trouble at this point. So people are just getting tired of seeing the ad. Now, this is okay when you're doing retargeting. I just want to clarify that really quick. When you're doing retargeting, people have more patience and they've already committed in some way. They've become a lead, they've added to cart, whatever it is. Just keep retargeting with different offers and urgency to get them to make the actual purchase, right? But whenever it comes to the cold audiences, someone who doesn't really care or have any engagement in your brand at all, you got to watch out for this. You can't have 6x frequency and not expect some things to go south if you just keep showing the same ad over and over again. I mean, a perfect example, there's this food delivery company in my area, which I'm already a customer of, but every time I'm on Facebook, I see the same video playing over and over and over again, same song, and by the time when I scroll and I see it, I'm just like, I just hate this ad. I think I marked it as don't show me this ad anymore. And this is a perfect example of how you can annoy your prospects. And this, ironically enough, I'm already a customer, so they're advertising me for re-engagement, I guess. But this is a great example of how your prospects can feel before they actually take that first step into becoming a lead or a sale. So that's enough about what this is and how it happens. I'm going to show you how to recognize it and how to fix it. So step 1 is recognize this is happening, and very easy to do. You can go inside Facebook, you go to set up your columns, click customize columns, and then when you're inside customize columns, you can just go ahead and type things like frequency and then add that as a column. So then when you're inside your Facebook ads manager, you can just sort by frequency to see which campaigns and ad sets and ad groups actually have a pretty high frequency. Good rule of thumb is if you're hitting like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x frequency, you need to look into this because you might have a problem with ad fatigue. And then you can isolate out the individual ads, which ones are causing fatigue and things like that. But of course, treat your retargeting campaigns differently from this. So if you have high frequency, but it's a retargeting campaign, you could be a little bit more lax about this, and I would still encourage you to create more ad creatives for these campaigns anyways, just so you can get some nice A/B tests in there and see if you can find any better performing ads. So the next thing to do when you have ad fatigue or you have diminishing results in general is to actually refresh your creatives often. So I kind of hinted at this earlier about what you need to be doing if you have this issue, but refreshing your creatives is a great way to just get some fresh ads in there and then immediately drop your frequency score because the audience is now seeing a brand new ad from you that they haven't seen before. And I'm not just saying refresh the text. I'm saying, also refresh the actual visuals. And that's probably more important than the text, is the actual visuals of the creative, especially if you can go video. If you want some inspiration about some top performing Facebook ads, we actually have a free cheat sheet. The link will be in the description. It looks sort of like this, and we update this every now and then. So it'll give you a good idea of what are some great ads to emulate on Facebook. So get that, it's completely free. And of course, you can change the description of the ad and the image, but you can also try changing up the colors of the ad that you're using. You could try changing up the medium, so maybe go with video rather than going with a static image. You can change up the offer, so if you're pushing like a free trial versus book a demo, or whatever it is, depending on if you're a SaaS, e-com, B2B lead gen, whatever that is. Main point being, switch up the visual, switch up the creative so people don't get bored and frustrated by your company, especially if they haven't converted yet. The next one is more tactical inside Facebook ads, but if your ad's still not performing, you can actually duplicate and relaunch your ad sets. It sounds really simple, I know, but it is pretty effective in terms of reviving some campaigns. It's probably the easiest, small test to run, so that's why I wanted to include it in here. It's definitely not the most in-depth. It's literally duplicating the ad set and relaunching it. And the reason behind this is basically because Facebook's algorithm can, theoretically predict if your campaign won't deliver already. And sometimes they penalize you a little too early. So relaunching the campaigns or ad sets kind of forces Facebook to give your ad another shot. And I would try this 1 to 2 to 3 times before moving on to the next strategy. But just a good quick tip I wanted to throw in there for something else you can test out. The next tip is actually to rotate multiple ads. I mean, you should be doing this by default. You shouldn't just have one ad inside the ad set. Always try to get an A/B test in there whenever you can. But basically, if you have one product, just try to swap out the image creative for something else. If one ad is losing momentum, Facebook will actually optimize and start delivering the other ad. So try to rotate multiple ads. This also reduces the chance that someone is going to see the same ad multiple times. Now they actually have a shot at seeing a different ad rather than just keep getting bombarded with the same ad over and over again. Like if I just saw this 5 times, I'd probably be pretty sick of it versus having it switched up a little bit. I might actually look at it this time rather than just scroll right past it. Now, the next thing you can do is actually what's called an offer switch up. And I don't know why I drew 3 people here because they're the same person in this instance. But basically, say the first time they see your ad, you're offering a free trial for your software or for your monthly subscription box company or whatever it is. You're offering some sort of free trial or a sample package for them to check out. The second time they're seeing the ad, maybe it's a free webinar. You're showing them a different angle of how you can bring value and why they need to purchase what you have to offer. And the third time they see your ad, actually you're giving them urgency and a discount or something like that to kind of change up what you're offering to get them through the door. Again, going back to what we said earlier, don't just keep showing them the same ad over and over and over again. You want to either switch up the creative, switch up the offer, or even switch up the targeting. So segueing into changing up your audience, maybe you can expand who's actually seeing your ad in the first place. So if your ad's already performing well, that's probably why you're here in the first place, because you have some sort of ad fatigue. Your campaign's been running and you've been getting sales and it's suddenly going down, or maybe it's slowly going down over time. Basically, you might want to actually change who you're targeting and expand up your offering. So maybe you add an additional language in there. If that doesn't apply to you, then you add more geographic locations. That's usually the big one, right? So in this example right here, targeting the United States, let's say my ads are running, and then about a few months into them, my ad fatigue starts to kick in. I've tried new creatives, it's still not working. Maybe I'll expand to different countries where I can sell to. Like I'll add it to Australia or I'll add it to UK, and then now I have a bigger overall audience to target that would reduce my chance that the same people in this geographic area would keep seeing my ads over and over again. So that's another cool thing you can do. Now, the final notes about this is that ad fatigue is bound to happen. People are going to get tired of seeing your ads. And you shouldn't be so dead set on trying to get back to that ad performing at its best where it initially was, because inevitably it's still going to fatigue anyway. You're much better off creating new ads and trying new angles. You can do these other things like expanding the audiences, but at the end of the day, the ad itself is going to be what people visually look at and scroll past or don't interact with. And that's why you should be creating new ads as frequently as possible. So sometimes it could be a weekly or a bi-weekly or even a monthly basis depending on your spend. But the good news is that there's plenty that you can do about the ad fatigue. You don't just have to sit around and just watch your ad performance tank. You need to be approaching Facebook ads as not the set it and forget it type of platform, because it definitely is not, but more as an ongoing experimentation project where you keep loading up new ads, new angles, and different creatives so that you can get better results overall and avoid things like ad fatigue, which will kill your CPR, which will inevitably kill your result. And if I had to sum up everything in this video, the number one thing, if you did nothing else in this, is create new visual creatives for your ads. And if you could do videos, even better. So I hope you got some value out of this video. If you want any other content like this, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want the cheat sheet I mentioned for our favorite Facebook ads, just check the links below or above if this is on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube. So I'll see you later on the next video.